Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to explain the grammar of Unit 5, Lesson 5, the last lesson of the unit. This lesson is talking about the direct object and the indirect object. As we said before, the direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb, and a sentence can have a direct object only. For example, she built a nest. She is the subject and built is the action verb. And what did she build? She built a nest. So a nest here is the direct object because it receives the action of building. Okay. What about the indirect object? An indirect object is a person or thing to whom or for whom something is done. Okay, but keep in your mind that a sentence cannot have an indirect object without a direct object. We can have a direct object only, but in order to have an indirect object, we should have a direct object also. Let's see the example. She built the mouse a nest. She is the subject and built is the action verb. Okay, what did she build? She built a nest. So a nest here is the direct object because I answered the question, what did she build? She built a nest. So this is the direct object. But she built the nest or a nest for the mouse. For whom? For the mouse. So the mouse here is an indirect object because the mouse here it's for whom something is done. Okay, another example, they played soccer. So they is the subject and played is the action verb. What did they play? They play soccer. So soccer here is the direct object because I answered the question, what did they play? They played soccer. So this is the direct object. All right. Another example, they sent him a postcard. They sent him a postcard. So they is the subject and sent here is the action verb. What did they send? They send a postcard. So a postcard is the direct object because I answered the question. What did they send? They sent a postcard. Okay. They sent a postcard for him. For him. So him here is indirect object. Okay, other examples. Number 1. David repaired his car. David here is the subject and repaired here is the action verb. Okay, what did David repair? He repaired his car. So his car here is the direct object because I answered the question, what did David repair? Another one. He bought his son a bike. He here is the subject and bought is the action verb. What did he buy? He bought a bike. So a bike here is the direct object because I answered the question, what did he buy? He bought a bike for his son. For his son. So his son here is an indirect object. Okay, now let's move to the exercise in the book. Circle indirect objects and underline direct objects. And keep in mind, we cannot have an indirect object without the direct object. So a sentence can include direct object and indirect object. Letter A. I will leave my brother a cookie. So leave here is the action verb. Leave, the action verb. What will I leave? I will leave a cookie. So cookie here is the direct object. So underline a cookie for my brother. So my brother here is an indirect object. So a cookie here is the direct object because I answered the question, what will I leave? I will leave a cookie for my brother. So my brother is the indirect object. Letter B. They wrote poems for their mother. So wrote here is the action verb. What did they write? They wrote poems. So poems here is the direct object. So underline poems. So they were they wrote the poems for their mother. For here you have even four, so their mother is the indirect object. Letter C. He refused to give me the information. Refuse here is the action verb, but it's not the main action verb that I want here. The main action verb that I want here is give. Okay, he refused to give me. What did he refuse to give me? The information. So the information here is the direct object, so underline the information. And he refused to give the information for me, so circle me. So you are gonna circle me, it's the indirect object, and underline information. Okay, the woman promised her a new dress. Okay, the woman, what did she promise? Promise here is the action verb. She promised a new dress, a new dress. So a new dress here is the direct object, and she promised a new dress for her. So for her is the indirect object. Okay, letter E, we passed her the information. Pass is the action verb. What did we pass? The information. So the information here is the direct object. We passed the information for her. So her is the indirect object. So circle her and underline the information. She offers them lunch. So the action verb is offers. Okay. And what does she offer? Lunch. So lunch here is the direct object, and she offers the lunch for them. So we are gonna circle them, the indirect object, and underline lunch, the direct one. Letter G. I get my dad the newspaper every day. So get here is the action verb. So what did I get? Do I get? The newspaper. So the newspaper here is the direct object, so underline. So I get the newspaper for my dad. So my dad will be the indirect object. So circle my dad, the indirect object, and underline the newspaper, the direct one. He buys his cousin a toy car. So buys here is the action verb. What does he buy? A toy car. So a toy car is the action verb. So he buys a toy car for his cousin. So his cousin will be the indirect object. So circle his cousin, the indirect object, and underline the direct object, a toy car. Letter I. They show us their new house. So we have the action verb, which is show. What do they show? Their new house. So their new house will be the direct object because I answered the question. They show their new house for us. So us here is the indirect object. So circle us, the indirect object, and underline their new house. Letter J. The bank will send him a statement. So will send here, send is the action verb. So what will the bank send? A statement. So a statement is the direct object because I answered the question, and they will send the statement, the bank will send a statement for him. So circle him, the indirect object, and underline statement. Letter K. If he teaches them math, who will teach them science? So he is the subject and teaches is the action verb. And what does he teach them? Math. So underline math, the direct object, and he teaches math for them. For them. So them here is the indirect object, so circle them and underline math. And the same idea in the sentence, in the other sentence, you are gonna circle them, the indirect object, and underline science, the direct one. I told my story to Miss Shirley. So told is the action verb. What did I tell? I tell my story. So my story here will be the direct object, and I will tell my story to Miss Shirley. So Miss Shirley here will be the indirect object. So circle Miss Shirley and underline my story. So again, a sentence can have a direct object only, and but it will not have an indirect object without a direct object. Thank you for listening, and I hope you study this lesson well, and please solve the exercise after studying hard.